when you know how, anything is possible. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Hope excellent. Welcome to our exclusive online free session, Conscious-SelfCare. This event is proudly organized by Fast Access. Let me introduce myself. I am Saeed Khandaka, Director of Business Development, and with me I have Mr. Milan Pickett, Director, Director of Creative Training of Fast Access. It is my privilege to mention that Mr. Milan has designed and developed conscious self-care through his extensive research and dedication. Our creative director, Milan, brings over 30 years of experiential training and learning. Milan employment industry covers private practice, psychological profiling, clinical assessments, educational sectors, allied health sectors, disability service providers like NDIS, allied corporation like NBN Wellbeing Program, and has also have provide high performance coaching, mentoring in sport. As a trainer and assessor, Milan has trained and mentored international NLP trainers. Moreover, as an experiential trainer, Milan applies a variety of disciplines like philosophy, neurology, psychology, cybermetrics, linguistics, sociology, ecology, and complex system. Wow, what a brilliant career, Milan. Welcome, Milan. How are you today?
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, Saeed, for that wonderful introduction. Sounds like I have about a whole team of people behind me in that respect, covering all those disciplines and various modes. But thank you very much and welcome everybody to Conscious Self-Care.
Okay, now thank you. So Milan, as we are in here for conscious self-care, so I like to know about the conscious self-care. So can you please tell me about conscious self-care and how we can get benefit from this session, especially in this post-COVID situation?
Yeah,
How we'll get the benefit?
well, very nice questions. So conscious self-care is concerned with broadening one's vision and having the ability to tap into various resources within oneself on a conscious level, but also at the same time being aware of these unconscious processes that are occurring simultaneously. So we want a very clear approach towards ourselves and how can we benefit through our own self-development, how we process information. So
Okay.
conscious self-care is technically broadly concerned with information across complex systems and how we can utilize these information and facets and elements of our environment to guide us in a direction where there's an outcome that we're working towards.
Okay. Now that's good. Good to know that. Look, next, my question is like resolving matters that seems to be deep, and how you will relate with your neurology and philosophy.
Well, that's a very big question. You got a lot of a lot of elements in there in that respect. But look, how do we resolve things? Look, neurology is a very important part, of our daily activities. Hence, in my opinion, this is where the information is processed, technically through our neurology. But there are particular levels and stages how we absorb this information.
Yes.
Looking at that in a particular paradigm, we can develop ourselves a designed how we process this information,
Okay.
which are leveled,
Okay.
through our vision as well too, and all our other sensory components as well. So we look at the whole component through all our senses. Oh, there could be six, there could be seven senses, but
Okay.
I'd say there's five senses, and we work through them to coordinate them in a direction where we're going.
All right. Okay. Nice. Like you explained very nicely. So that's very good. So like how you linking creativity, energy, and health. Like please explain
Well,
how it works.
well, creativity. I mean, there's several parts to that question, and I'll go with the first one in relation to creativity. So, what moments in your life have you been very creative? What moments in your daily activities when you become creative? But we want to go a little bit step further into that and extend on that. What is creativity, and how do we actually harness that particular ability that we do that everybody has? So for me, creativity is a conscious and unconscious. It's like these two worlds that are working together. If we use the example of the of how the pull is together, yeah, the idea is to coordinate your unconscious and your conscious in such a way so we can get so the clash in between, the
Okay.
moments in between is where our creativity occurs. It's like a little spark. Yeah.
Oh,
It's similar to you go, oh, I have a lovely moment. So it is a very interesting process, but once again, we want to go to another level, just a little bit deeper than that. What actually supports that? How do you know when you're in this phase? So we look at the complexities and the descriptions of these particular states that occur. So we want to explore them further. So for me, creativity is a very intimate process
okay.
that we can spark it within ourselves by creating a safe and clean space that we enter into, and we can develop more of that skill by modeling that as well too. So I think that's a very important component in relation to creativity. How do we apply that, and how does that affect our neurology? Once again, it's a very I'm not going to go into great depth of detail of neurology and neuroscience and how it's
Oh,
done.
it's
Very
big,
many
big.
different
Yeah.
fields in that.
Yeah.
In saying so, we want
Yeah.
to take the best components out of there and keep it very, very practical and pragmatic. And how do we actually apply to it? So,
Okay.
in essence, we are demystifying the language. We are demystifying the psychology behind it. We are demystifying everything through action. So
Okay.
we don't want to confuse ourselves too much with a lot of words and things like that, but we want to be able to create a space constructively so we
Okay.
can harness it, support ourselves
Okay.
towards our outcomes where we want to go.
Yeah. So you just mentioned is action. Like what type of action we can implement in our mind system or body system.
Well,
Like
absolutely. What is an action? So, an action is a type of movement, and I think,
like,
and I, and I tend to notice what draws me an image now is qigong, and within qigong, it's breath and movement. Once
okay.
again, I think there are 18 movements or something to that effect. It's out there on the internet somewhere, but then again, I'll advise you to most likely buy a book. We don't know what information's going out there. So we want to be able to, explore this space
Yeah.
in that respect. So it is a very coherent process, and where we get
Okay.
rapport in that. So
Yeah.
the answer to that question will be technically rapport.
Okay, no, no, it's all right. Now, fair enough. Dear Buell, our this event is proudly organized by Fast Access. For your information, Fast Access. You can see background our logo, the Fast Access.
Yes.
So, my next favorite question to you, Milan, that is a deeper self awareness and creating space. You mentioned inner space and outer space. My question is how we can apply to our everyday life.
Inner space, outer space. I don't even know where I came up with that idea. what what strikes me in relation to inner space is an experience that I had when I was researching with the Buddhist monks, and from my experience, this inner space, it was various levels of conscious awareness. So if we were to look at awareness or consciousness in the respect of having various different types,
Okay.
there's types of different consciousnesses. So, I mean, you step into a different country and you're in a different level of consciousness. You know, you go into a different suburb, you're in a different level of consciousness, whether you've been there or not. You have first access there to that. So this inner space is your own personal space. Look, take a moment. Look, take a moment and just take a few breaths and sit there and notice how big is your inner space and notice what occupies your mind in that respect. So this is an internal landscape that we sort of explore. Once again, first access is about subjective internal experiences and how we
Hang
get.
on, hang on, 1 minute. Internal means like in brain. You're just talking about
Well,
inside.
our internal experiences, how we get, we use our, where are your images? You know, I had a very interesting experience when I was at school and I'm sitting in there in class.
Yeah.
Not that I was always a good listener in class, but
Mm,
I had a very active imagination.
mm,
And the teacher's standing there, you know, on the blackboard, and you know she's writing out stuff. Well, this is last century when we had this high-tech technology with
yeah,
chalk. It was very, very interesting.
yeah.
And she's there and she's writing up the daily activities that we'll be doing in point form. And she
Okay.
says, "Stop doing that.
Okay.
Stop doing that." And I thought, how does she know that I'm doing something, or someone's, or she could be possibly guessing? So she's there. She says, "I've got eyes at the back of my head."
Okay.
Right. And it's, oh, she's got eyes at the back of her head. So I've been walking around for the last 20 years
Mm,
thinking that every teacher's got eyes at the back of their head
mm,
until I started doing a little bit more research and I thought, well, that's where the images are thought. Oh, well,
okay.
that's where your images are at the back of your head on the
Oh,
5 different levels of your visual cortex. Oh,
oh,
occipital lobe, I think that's a technical term, but we'll keep it simple.
oh,
Various different levels at the back. So my question is, are your eyes at the back of your head?
yeah. Oh,
It's a very simple question. Are your eyes at the back of your head, or are you using your eyes to see
yeah.
through them?
Oh,
And it's a very interesting question because our images are at the back of at back of our inside our brain or inside our mind, or you know this component, this organic component. So are
oh,
your eyes
oh,
inverted, or are you actually looking through your eyes? And
okay.
that's a very important distinction. Are you looking towards your inner landscape, or are you looking towards the outer landscape?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a different transformation of language of how you're interpreting it, how you're describing it, and how you're evaluating it as well too. So there's a
Oh,
lot of there's once again there's a lot of information. We're actually pulling apart
yeah.
your reality and what you believe, what you see.
Yeah.
Perception is not always it's not always reality. So we have to really, really be careful in relation to how our own biases can
Okay.
impact on our physiology, how our own unconscious biases can work in our favour and also
Oh,
not in our favour in an unresourceful way. So how can we utilise this on our inner landscape? How can we reconstruct it and redesign it?
okay.
And I think that's the fascinating question when we actually, you know,
Mm,
immerse ourselves in our own subjective experience.
yeah.
And I hear this quote that I keep hearing in my mind that experience has no inherent meaning. And it was from one of my trainers that I trained with, and it's sort of it's stuck with me. Experience has no inherited meaning.
Okay. So,
So that's a component and you know a complex system within our value system. Once again, our inner self or our inner maps.
oh, inner.
Are completely different. That's the external field, that's the experiential field, that's the whole representation that's what's out there. We want to be able to
Okay.
notice these two distinct worlds and the crossover in relation to and I'll introduce this term, liminal space. So this is
Okay.
what we're actually working with. But once again, liminal space is another fascinating subject uh, where we work in between the 2 points. You know.
Oh, like it's a bit because you are experiential psychologist. So the deeper side, as a general people, we don't have much idea about that. I think when you will just organize the main training session, the people will learn more about this, like inner space, outer space, and what is inside the space. So yeah, I know. So but can you just uh, let me something like what's the relation with emotional intelligence with inner
Intelligence.
space and outer space?
You're asking me to start combining information together.
Yeah, look, my viewer, they're just waiting for you some information. I
Emotional,
know you'll explain more in the training session, main training session. So just we need to know the little bit idea about this.
emotional intelligence. My first was introduced in the early 2000, 2001, 2002. At the beginning of that time, Daniel Goleman was doing a lot of work in that relationship. It's not the emotional intelligence that's the current paradigm that's out there.
Okay.
I think emotional intelligence is a very nice model that a person can work with, as long as we don't get stuck into the content
Okay.
of the emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I'd like to shift emotional intelligence into a more how can I say, in a more interactive process, in a more
Okay.
demonstrative process, in a more experiential process, as opposed to an academic process. So, emotional intelligence, artistry, language and other sort of faculties that we use in that respect. So we
Mm.
have all these emotionally intelligence concepts that
Yeah.
we're all familiar with, and we do a lot of training. Emotionally intelligent leaders, and emotionally intelligent this, and emotional intelligence that. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it really, really simple, and let's really be pragmatic about it and say that emotional intelligence is a component of various states that
Yeah.
we access naturally. This is not something special. This is not something hidden anywhere. This is something that's within each of our grasps, and it resides within each one of us, within our own inner maps. So, an emotional intelligence is just an extension of states, and we can look at that and pull that apart and assimilate it in our own lives as well too. And how
Mm.
can we be more flexible in behaviour? I encourage you all to be schizophrenic, to have a lot of personalities, to be different characters, to have flexibility in your life, so you can shift in and through
Okay.
your life, because that's what life demands from you. It's always in your face. You can't get
Mm.
away from it. It's just how you interact with it,
Mm.
which is very, very important.
Mm. Yes. Like fantastic answer, but uh, I would say like this is I think not enough. I think like this the term is very short, but explanation is very big. So not possible like within 2 to 3 minutes. I understand it. Like it's not possible to get all the information from you within this information session. So look, my next question is like tapping into your intuitions and knowledge.
Mm.
What do you mean by that? Can you please extend it?
Tapping into your intuitions. Have you ever had a sensation, an experience, and you just knew what it was? You just know. Have you ever walked into a cinema and
Yeah.
go, oh, I want to sit there?
Okay.
It's right comfortable. How do you know? How do you know in the middle of the night you say, oh, I feel like some sweets?
Okay.
And how do you know now how to ride a bike? How do
Mm.
you know? How
I
do
don't know.
you and that's the answer, and that's the area that we'd like to be in. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So
Okay.
involuntary signals are unconscious signals.
Okay.
So we're tapping into once again our intuition. So we're learning. So people believe that anxiety is a thing that you can pick it up,
Yeah.
you can touch it,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And it's a thing. Okay, it's a nominalization, as we call in NLP or
Yeah.
linguistics. It's a noun. Anxiety. I heard a very interesting commercial on TV,
Okay.
which quite disturbed me. Okay, and it started off with don't quote me. I'm going to quite paraphrase this commercial, and it was by a large corporation here, but it really disturbed me a little bit. It
Okay.
it gave me anxiety.
Uh,
So the theme was particularly like a horror movie. The theme. You don't know where this anxiety is going to come from. It could be around the corner. It could be anywhere at any time. Could be
okay.
in there when you're getting in your car. You just don't know. So you can imagine the preconception, the words, the images, how it actually impacted on one's physiology in that respect. And they have an unconscious response. They're all expressions. You have involuntary signals constantly throughout your day.
Okay.
Some people mistaken them for something else. So these involuntary signals happen every day, every moment. It's just how we turn our attention
Okay.
on the inside and
Okay.
start to communicate
Okay.
with ourselves. And once again, there is a process, there's a demonstration, and that you can start tapping into these wonderful resources that reside within you. There are treasures everywhere within oneself, absolutely everywhere. We just got to be silent and listen to these signals in that respect. And once again, we go through this process how you establish a stronger rapport with yourself as well too.
Mm. It's bit for me little bit complicated. So I think slowly we'll get there more because one day, one session, 1 or 2 minutes is very hard to understand for the general people like
Well, you do it every day.
yeah.
You don't know that you know. You just don't know that you know these skills, and that's the surprising things. It's complex systems made simple, practical, um, that you can engage in them. It's a process of self-discovery and exploration
Okay.
with a lot of fun too. With a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah,
With
yeah,
a lot of
for
fun.
sure.
Absolutely. So it might be a little bit in the elongated answer, but
Uh,
keep in mind it's constantly demonstrated.
yes,
We are constantly demonstrating the skills. So as soon as we open our eyes and adjust our lens, we can get
yes.
access to that as well too.
Okay. So that means like face-to-face training is not enough. We have to go in the session, like in the session for exercise or do modeling and for demonstration. Then it will be more clear. Is that right?
The benefits of live training is you get full access to it. You get access to the individual. You get access to more information. Not to
Okay.
say this modality via social media is not useful in that respect, but there are qualities that are missing in that respect as well too. So that connection with people, in relation to face-to-face training, live training, it's invaluable experience. But once again, we can still model and we can still. I learnt a lot of skills through observing a lot of videos, in my in part of my early in my career in that respect. So uh, you can still glean a lot of information from them, provided you have the appropriate training. And our whole vision is to provide you with skills and tools for your own personal development, so you can go further out in the world and build on that as well, and keep learning how to design and change, your own perception of events, how you can shift, your values and morals to a different level,
Hang on, one thing, like as you said, modeling, like
Modeling.
what type of modeling? What do you mean by model? Like,
Modeling. I'll Modeling, I think there's about three or four different types, versions of modeling. You have experiential modeling, you have all unconscious modeling, which John Grinder, Milton Erickson, and there's a few other people who are in that respect um, uh, experiential modelers. So they're unconscious uptake. And then you have linguistical modelers, people who model language as well too. So that's a different way to model as well too. So we have four or five different versions of modeling that we explore in that respect.
yeah,
So
okay.
that's very important.
Yeah. So now in your like I just read the things like that you are
Oh, that's my guard
NLP.
dog.
Yes, now.
My 4-month-old little mini fox terrier. His name's Aces. Aces.
Oh, okay. Might be he the dog is listening our discussion.
Oh, he's just, guarding the parameter.
Oh,
He's my security guard.
oh, that's good. That's good. So one thing you just mentioned NLP, and I know you are a trainer and assessor and mentored international NLP trainers. What
Yeah.
it is like? Can you little bit explain it?
My early days of in NLP began in 1986. So from 1986, if you excuse me for 1 minute,
Yes.
I'm just going to get my little hang
No,
on.
no, it's okay. Um, yes, Milan is just coming. By this time, dear viewer, what we just explored today, little bit, not much, because within this short time, is very hard to explain everything.
I'm back.
Milan is try to explore like the structure of perception, the conscious mind, neurology and language, neurophysiological frames. Sometimes it's very hard to understand within this short discussion, but he's trying to explain as per his concern. Like so, yeah, Miller, just start now, please. We talking about NLP, like
My,
yeah.
my early NLP trainings began in 1985, 1986,
Mm,
and that's completely changed my life. I do have to say, which gave me the ability to reconstruct my own internal landscape
yeah.
and approach, and so it's got me here. Training with overseas, I've trained with. Look, I'm not into names or anything like that, but my trainings were with the co-creators of NLP, some wonderful trainers, from international and overseas, which gave me the opportunity, to immerse themselves in their modelling of excellence and transferring of those skills to others as well too. So NLP has been a journey throughout my entire life, but once again, we want to be able to do the history and go to the core of it. And NLP is a facet, of cybernetics, and and it's designed in such a brilliant way by two amazing co-creators in that respect. But there's certainly good trainers out there in the field. But my experience in that it's ever growing, it's ever generative, it keeps on changing, and once again it provides one with a platform
Like,
of being able to reconstruct, perceive, and understand your own world in a better way. And
uh,
how do you do that? And we would like to share with you information, and that's all we are doing here today. We are sharing information, and any training that I've ever attended, it's all about information. It's
okay.
always about information. It's nothing personal. I used to take it personal. Oh, this is no good. This is no. It's only information. If we take it as just as information, we can do with it whatever we like. Whatever we like. So that's what NLP has provided me, a platform to explore a multitude and a multi-modal learning. I think that's more appropriate. It provided me with a trans-contextual approach,
Okay.
to various different fields and how to apply oneself. So um, and my journey still continues. I'm still learning and I'm still growing in that respect. And
30 years, you're still learning.
most people that ever taught me anything was all the people that came to see me.
Okay.
It's taken me a lot, and I still struggle with the word client, patient, person. You know, it's people. We are people. I'm not a person. You know, I'm not a client, but you may call them. And once again, these are models. You know,
Okay.
in respect. If you call someone, a person, what's the difference between a person and I train people, person or people? What do you prefer? Which one is it, person or a people?
So, yeah, like,
There's a distinction there. We can do this little quick thought experiment. Hold person in your head.
yeah.
Hold that reality up, person, and keep saying to yourself, person. Oh, there's a person there. There's a person there. Yeah, and just notice what happens on the inside when you say person. Mm. And now, so say, oh, there's lots of people. Oh, there's people there. And just notice your relationship between the two words. Notice your relationship between the two worlds. You know, words are keys. Words are keys.
Okay.
They open up a lot of stories. And
So,
that's another avenue, stories. Through my training with NLP, stories and metaphors. We delve into that. We look at these abstract images, this mythology, these symbols. So we want to really identify with the internal relationships as well too, between person and people. Which one do you prefer, person or people?
so yeah, then can I ask one like basic question?
Mm.
Like, how will manage our anger? Like in everyday life, sometimes we fight with friends, fight with family, fight with kids,
Yeah,
fight with colleagues, and like everyone. So how, as you said, information is the key.
yes.
So how we'll put our information into our brain so that we can't do it? How?
I'm not interested in the brain. I'm
Okay.
interested in behavior and
Of
attitude
behavior.
and
Okay.
intention. Anger's got nothing to do with anything.
All right.
Someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm angry all the time. I'm frustrated and I'm angry."
Okay.
Well, you simply say to them, I'm not here to support your anger. I'm
Okay.
not here to support your fear. I'm
Okay.
not here to support your sadness.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, I can't. I can't resolve it for you. You're not broken,
Uh,
are you?
yeah.
Right. You've got
Then
to,
how you'll manage? Like,
you can't, there's nothing to fix
okay.
except your attitude,
Yeah.
your frame.
Behavior. That means
Hey,
behavior. I
where
have
you
to
going?
change my behavior.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Yeah.
Are your eyes at the back of your head?
Yeah.
Are your eyes at the back of your head, looking at all the memories? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's that like? It makes you angry. Okay.
Yeah.
And once again, that's a complex internal landscape, internal system,
Yeah.
that we're looking at in that respect.
Yeah.
Do we project it forward onto others, that they're angry? Relax your face.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed when someone's angry, they're like that? They're always looking like this, in the face. I go, ah. I remember my mum said, if you keep your face like that and the wind blows, you'll stay like that forever. Now that didn't occur to me. That's a very interesting comment, and it occurred to me a little bit later on, like something like 20 years later,
Yeah.
that actually we got memory
Yeah.
in our face. All your muscles in your face have got memories.
Uh,
So if someone pulls a face, what are you going to interpret it like? You
okay.
have to go. Your eyes have to be at the back of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking at your own interpretation of it, but you don't know what the other person's is. Why their face is like that.
Okay.
Someone said to me, "How come you're angry? You look really, angry all the time." I said, "Well, I'm not. How do you know that I am? I said, I'm quite happy on the inside. I'm pretty, yeah, pretty okay. Yeah. He goes, but your face looks angry. I said, well, no, I think your eyes at the back of your head.
Oh,
You got a very different interpretation.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. What information are you interpreting?
Hmm.
Are you feeding back your own? Are you feeding back your own information and you come out with a conclusion about something,
Oh,
about your own anger?
oh.
Oh, okay. But
Mm,
that's a thought. That's a thought. It's a bit like person and
yeah.
people. Person, people.
People.
Which one do you prefer?
Okay. So that means all about our behaviors, as you like emphasize the word. Behavior is the main thing.
Well, we're looking for action. We're
Ac-
looking for action as well too. And look, our neurology, stores all this information. There was a wonderful book by Eugene Gelding on focusing,
Okay.
and in the very first page, he talks about the unconscious.
Okay.
I remember people talking about what is this unconscious? Unconscious, yes, unconscious. Your unconscious mind.
Hmm.
Well, Galden puts it in very simple terms.
Okay.
Your unconscious is your body. Your unconscious is your body.
Okay.
Hmm. And I go, wow, your unconscious is your body. But, and once again, there's another good text out there. There's in relation to the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
Once again, I think that's an extension of a little bit of Gelding's work as well too. The body keeps a score, where trauma is held within the body. It's not held within, your brain, your mind, or your thinking. Um, so it's held in, neurophysically in that respect.
Hmm.
And how can we use our neurophysiology? uh, How can we use our neurophysiology to resolve this, to provide us with more resourceful ways to resolve trauma on the inside?
Okay.
And we look at the body's wisdom, we look at the unconscious processes, we look at the relationships between these events and how they're represented as well too. We basically pull apart this subjective experience, or more importantly, you get to explore your internal landscape consciously. And this is what conscious self-care is. It's not just what is
Okay.
consciousness? That's a very good question. But we are really, really looking after ourselves. We are really focusing on our personal development to provide us with a foundation and a platform so we can build these skills in a very generative way across complex systems, utilising, multimodal learning as well, to not limiting ourselves to, one scope, not limiting ourselves to being the expert.
Okay.
I mean, we can all be the expert. Well, that's quite good. And if I want a brain surgery, I'll be going to an expert, in
Yeah.
that respect. Or if I've had a serious injury, I'll be going to an expert. But if I want to learn something, I want to equip myself with a generative way to learn, to be a generalist in that respect. And that doesn't mean to be, like a jack of all trades. Let's start not using cliches and memes that, began in the 16th century, through French printers, in that respect. So we want to be able to explore a little bit further in relation to that type of approach. So it is about developing your own personal landscapes and
Hmm.
exploring things at an unconscious level, and to be in that space. As the Buddhist monks, that I experience with, there's many, many levels of awareness. And as soon as you start learning to tap into your unconscious processes, which is with deliberate practice, on a continual basis, to be consciously aware of it, to be self-aware, when events around you in your environment, occur, so you can learn to manage them better. It's like stepping in through one door and out through another door. You walk in your house and every room is different. Every room. And every room has a role for you. Or did you make those roles for yourself? Um, but with my roles, I like some, very nice sourdough. I like some very good fresh lettuce, and some nice fresh tomatoes, and some cheese. I like very nice, some nice cheese. So it's all about how you layer it and where does the product come from. So that's very, very important. So I'll
Yes.
leave that thought for now. There's lots of information there as well.
Exactly. Like that's so. What is very my question was like intuitions and knowledge tapping into. So its explanation is huge. Anyway, so yeah, my thank you for nicely explain this information. And my next question is like learn to make effective changes to optimize performance. What is your favorite part to explain through
Uh, well, I'll
process
give you
application?
action. My favourite part for high performance is that the question for high performance?
Yeah, learn to make effective changes to optimize performance. That means, yeah,
Well,
high performance.
effective. We've been tapping into all these learning and effective ways how to do it. How do we learn? Tasking is one way to learn. So we set ourselves tasks, we set ourselves routines, and things like that. We also want to be able to remember, in our background of experience and resources in that respect, where we've had experiences where we were performing really, really well and the experiences where we were performing okay. So we want to be able to have more representations of the experiences or the events and um, sensed
Yeah.
where we sensed we were performing, to a really high level. So how do we tap into this? Well, we can use emotional intelligence. We can model. We can model other people. We can do some self alignment, with our direction and our intention, where we're heading, and be aware of those consequences. So there are multiple ways to explore, your own performance.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, everything that we do is personalised. It's all individual. It's all bespoke. It's tailor made in that respect. What are the frames and what are the requirements, for optimal performance? Um, what is optimal performance? We see Wim Hof has got this wonderful method of breathing. This breathing techniques that he's developed himself. The Wim Hof method. Monks, meditators, shamans. They're very optimal performers as well too. What did they do to have that? What do you do to have that? Are there moments in your life where you're really performing to optimum level and you'd like to get that? People say, "Oh, I like to. Oh, I felt really good. I really want to, have that experience all over again." Probably some people have to wait another 10 years or 15 years to have that spark again because they've got their eyes at the back of their head, remembering things as opposed to, looking straight forward. Like you drive your car, you forget your keys, in that respect. You sit in the car and you go to a meeting or to an interview or something like this, and you're getting talking to yourself and giving yourself directions and going towards your interview, and you want to get this job or whatever it may be in that respect, and you're constantly talking to yourself. You might put some music on the radio, and so that gets your neurology happening again. You might remember other days that you were doing something extraordinarily well. So it's a compilation. It's like a symphony,
Yeah.
and you're the director. And how do we get the correct musicians in that respect?
Yeah.
Everything sort of flows, from one end to the other in that regard. So we want to be able to hold on to these processes, what we're thinking, and what we're sensing through our body. How do we coordinate these two entities, these two spaces,
Yeah.
this inner space and outer space? How do we coordinate this together?
Mm. It's a bit complex for me, but I think yes, slowly, slowly it will
Words
be.
are words are complex. Words are complex. Okay,
I don't know what is complex,
it's
but
very
I know
complex.
I know the simple
Through
like
demonstration, it's completely different. The words make complete sense.
Okay.
The words make complete sense when you're actually demonstrating, going through the process and experiencing it in real time, in
Okay.
real time, and taking it with you everywhere where you go.
Okay,
Step,
so you mentioned again like demonstration. That means like face-to-face demonstration will be more like feasible than online or
you mentioned demonstration, and
yeah.
I've been constantly demonstrating.
Okay.
I've been demonstrating from the start of this cast. Constantly, I've been demonstrating. But you've only got this part of me.
Yeah.
I've got this part.
Yes. I can see you fall. No.
You haven't got my, you haven't got the other half. You've only got
Yeah.
this half.
Yeah.
So I'm still demonstrating. I'm still modelling.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Lots of people. You mentioned NLP. Lots of people talk NLP. I'm not interested in talking about NLP. It's NLP is about doing.
Or doing and showing like
Doing. You do NLP. You don't talk about NLP. People want to talk about NLP. You need to. You ask them. Show me.
okay.
Show me. Show me what you're doing. Show me. Show me.
NLP, I know like neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know like inside what programming is going on properly because this is a new concept in this 20th century. It was not before. So then we have not much knowledge about the NLP.
NLP has been around for 50 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been around for 50 years.
So I think we'll learn more
NLP
as
is everywhere. Everybody does NLP. They just don't know that they do NLP.
exactly.
But the program provides you with a toolbox of that you can utilize. Think of
Okay.
Doctor Who and his sonic key. Well, that's not too bad. He's got a universal key that he can use anything. So for me, NLP is a key that you can utilize across disciplines. But it's one tool.
Want to, yeah.
I don't do NLP. We do it.
Yes.
We do it.
Okay, so Milan, the one thing like how we utilize our emotions for results.
How do we utilize
What does
our
what
emotions for results?
yeah, what does success look like for
Well,
general people?
success for some people looks very angry. They're always angry. Oh yeah, there's very angry, successful people out there. I mean, that's an emotion.
Yeah.
Sadness is not a very good one.
Okay.
Wouldn't be using sadness as a motivator.
Okay.
So, how do we use our emotions? Well, we can go back to emotional intelligence as well too. In that respect. What are your emotions, or have you misdiagnosed your emotions
Okay.
because you've had an inherited meaning put inside your brain, a word?
Is this is permanent, like inherited
Nothing's permanent.
meaning?
Nothing is permanent.
Okay.
Well, nothing's permanent,
All right.
but actually it is permanent and it isn't permanent because summer's permanent because summer's always happening in some part of the world.
Hmm.
Summer's always there somewhere when we think about it or when we notice about it. You know, it doesn't actually ever stop.
Okay.
So it keeps on going. So we have an opportunity to redesign.
Okay.
This is what it is. We have an opportunity to redesign. So how do we use our emotions? As I said, some people are angry and they're very successful, but we keep in mind that emotions are states, and if you look at emotions as fixed points in
Okay.
your life, that this is angry, this is this, this is this. I'll ask you this: how many angries do you have? One?
Too many. Too
Too
many.
many. Too many angries.
Yes. Too
Yeah.
many.
How many different sadnesses do you have?
Too many.
Too many. How many happies do you have? Extremely happy
Yeah.
or fake happy, fake news happy. Ha 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 ha.
Oh,
So how many happies do you have? You
many, many, many happy.
have a fake laugh
Okay.
and you have a real laugh.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So how many are there? So if you can do a fake laugh
Yeah.
and you can do a real laugh,
Yes.
but when you're doing a fake laugh when you're doing a real laugh.
Yeah.
When you're, not being happy and when you really are happy. you know. Come on, we're going shopping, you know. When you're little, you know, I don't want to go with my parents to shopping. No, 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 you know, and you make it go. Okay, I'll go. Yeah, sure, I'll go. What sort of happy is that, you know? Not a very good one. That's an angry happy. So you can use anger and get happy at it,
Yeah,
yeah, and still achieve your outcomes.
yeah,
So angry and happy, you can use it, you know, you can be angry and happy that you're moving towards in the right direction. Once again, there's states, and it's a word. And I'm playing here. I'm playing with words. We're playing. You know, we're playing with all this happy, this here, over here, over here, and over here. What is it? What is it? What are these emotions? Once again, we want to look into these you know, what you believe about this. You know, what values do you hold? What decisions have you made in the past to say this once all over again? And how much do you repeat it? And what would you like to change about that? How would you like to change about that? What do you need to change that?
mm,
Yeah? Or more, if we're going in this direction,
yeah,
what emotions do you require? Yeah, or what states do you require to achieve, you know, your goal? You might need curiosity. You might need some emotional intelligence. You might need some artistry and some poetry.
yeah,
You might need several different ways of shifting yourself, transitioning, and that's another point that we'll speak about is transitional states, which is another format that we've developed. But these transitions that we go through, they're all changing. So if we're going to focus on how do I get rid of my emotions, impossible. You're not going to get rid of your emotions. Impossible. How can you? You can get rid of the word. You can get rid of the word.
mm,
Yeah? Get rid of
no,
the word. Emotions. Get rid of it. And put experience. What happens if you put experience? It's a suggestion. You can play with it.
yeah,
And I encourage you to play with it. I invite you to play with it. Instead of having emotions, have experience. Or something else that fits into your understanding of something, your description.
okay,
Yeah, we want to describe things differently. If you ask me a question, I'll say, well, okay, give me another three.
mm,
You know, give me three more.
mm,
So the more difference we have in relation to representing what an emotion is, then we can shift it and change it. It doesn't hold true.
okay,
Our eyes are not at the back of our heads.
okay.
Facing forward. Right there.
So the, all about the information back in our head.
What about
So
it?
we trust in our head, but
Nah, don't trust your brain.
okay,
Don't trust your brain. No, your mind, your brain, don't trust your brain. It functions. It does things.
okay,
I don't know what it does. I can read books. I can watch videos. I can research. And I still won't know. I'll have more information. What am I searching for?
okay.
What are you searching for when you're doing that? How the brain works? It's not in your head anyway. It's not in your head anyway. It's in your nervous system. Is it? It's not in your muscles. It's in your nervous system. It's in your neuromuscular system.
Mm,
Well, that's where your emotions are. They're stored in there somewhere. So let's learn how to, how to have a relationship and how we can have deeper rapport with ourselves, with our nervous system, because that's what gives rise to your experience. Now, I'm not going to go into, dissecting, what Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is like and finding one note and saying, "Aha, that's the answer."
mm,
Yeah, that's good that you can find it, but let's put it back into the symphony so we can play it. And we keep, and that's the emotion. Aha, anger, found it. Aha, it was that drum roll in Beethoven's Fifth. Dun, 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 how's that one? Aha, we'll get that one out, and we fix the emotion. Well, now you've got a missing piece in your orchestra. Now you've got a missing piece in your symphony,
mm,
in the sound. Other people may not notice it, but you will.
mm,
So, what's the point in taking it out? What's the point in getting rid of your emotions or your anger or your sadness? You need it. You want it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Create the inner space
Yes.
so you can support yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you can learn to support yourself instead of pushing things away.
So here the conscious self-care, what like the collect the information inside
Yeah,
and utilizing our conscious self-care,
yes.
then what?
Then what? Then you live. You live free. Then you build your life.
Okay, then we
Build
build
your life
your
the
life.
way you want to build it by using
Okay.
information that's around, that's available to you.
Okay.
Yeah? You walk outside your front door. There's information available for you where to go, how to get to your destination.
Okay.
As soon as you
But
walk out that door, you have an opportunity to go towards your destination.
yeah.
The road's already there. You just got to go.
Okay.
You just got to learn to navigate the landscape.
Okay.
Yeah, step out your front door and you go to work, or you go to school, or you go wherever you're going, or you go on your adventure, or you go on your training. You
Hmm.
catch a train.
Okay.
Well, what do you need to do that? Everything will be there in front of you as you go there. Do you need a ticket? Well, it's waiting for you.
Hmm.
You need a ticket? It's waiting for you at the station to get your
Hmm.
train. So it's all there. It's just waiting for you to have it.
Okay.
So you can have first access.
Yeah,
You
there's the
have
answer.
first access to your information
Yes.
and how you construct the information.
Yeah.
Yeah? And these are the important pieces that we look for. Yeah?
Yeah.
We go into
Yeah.
the inner space.
Yeah. I'm looking for something like yeah, some key to enter to manage inside
But
to
what?
like
Guess what? There's no keys.
no keys. Okay.
There's only blank keys.
Only black keys. Okay.
Blank, blank,
Oh, blank keys. Okay.
blank. Yeah?
Yeah.
Blank. Not cut.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you an
Yeah.
uncut key.
Uncut key. Okay. The
Uncut.
door will not open with that uncut key.
Yeah. No, you cut the key yourself.
Or I'll cut the key myself. Okay.
Yeah, because you know better than me what to cut
Okay.
and what not to cut and what to include and what not to include.
Uh,
You cut the key.
I cut the key. But how I'll know I'll cut the key? What's the technique? What's the tricks
Where are you going?
behind it?
What do you want? Where are you going? What are you
Okay.
looking for?
So
Then you
that
start cutting. You want happiness, you want financial security, you want a good job, you want more flexibility in your life, you want to learn to live, not be down, what do you want? What does it look like for you?
mm,
What does that shape look like for you? What's the relationship between yourself and your outcome? So this is what it looks like. How it's cut, I don't know how you're going to cut it. That's your responsibility. That's
okay.
not my
This is
responsibility.
my
My
responsibility.
responsibility is to give you and provide you with all the necessary information and frameworks,
Yes.
so you can learn to construct, your outcomes and behaviours and states and what you want from your life. That's not my responsibility. Is to provide you with the information so you can have more choice in your life. That's
Mm,
my responsibility, and I'll deliver on that responsibility. And I'm not going to be polite about it. I'll
yeah.
push you. I will, challenge. And this is
Yes.
the whole purpose of this. It's nothing personal. It's only information for you to utilize in your own unique way, not my way. That's why you get a blank key. That's why you
Okay.
get a key, blank one, and you cut it yourself.
So yeah,
Not, not
I
me.
have a black key. I have to
Provide you with
cut by
information.
myself. I understand it.
Yeah.
But what is the contribution of conscious self-care? That means you will give the information and I'll take that information and utilize inside that information to cut my key to find out the better way. Is that right?
That's correct. I
Okay.
think that's I think the way you've put it, the way you've represented that,
Yes.
um, is suitable for oneself.
Mm. So, so yeah, now that's we are like nearly um, closing the session. Like last one or two questions to you. That is, Milan. Like in your first access phase, you just you just mentioned that we exist to generate and provide access to information that gives a broader vision.
Yes.
Like, what is the broader vision for fast access?
What's a broader vision? Our
Yes.
broader vision is to equip people to provide them with the opportunity to transfer their skills with onto others as well. So our mission is to equip people with the best training of the best information to provide them with tools and skills that can develop over their entire lifetime for their families. So it's about building communities. First X is about building communities between people um, and to generate healthy communities, support, and looking after ourselves in the best possible way. So it's a, that'll be sort of and our mission will grow as we go along as well, and it will change. But it's providing with people with skills and training so they can equip their life in a much more fulfilled way, and more and more. If you ask me this question next week, I most likely will definitely answer it in a different way. If you ask me this question in another 6 months, it'll be a different answer once again because we want to generate change. So
Okay.
it's constantly generating change and how to manage challenges in your life in the most effective ways,
Yes.
how to support others, in situations where they may be having challenges. How can you utilize conscious self-care, in your workplace?
Yep.
How can you use conscious self-care, in your daily activities? So this is what this is all about. And once again, it's from a multitude and it's a multimodal learning paradigm, excuse me, approach. So we want to, interrelate interdisciplinary information so people get the best outcomes for themselves. So there's a lot there. There's a lot
Lord, yeah.
there's a lot there, and we want
Milan,
to expand that more as well too.
yeah, what I understand, like in this situation, Milan, like we are facing very hard time, especially for COVID-19. Still, like we are in Victoria, Melbourne, is little bit okay, but other world is struggling and suffering a lot, and lot of people just like um, has passed away.
And
So,
this and that you bring up on a very good point, and this is where we sort of bring in the vision of of a conscious self-care community. So
yes,
conscious communities, conscious self-care communities that people can support themselves. So people can go to certain agencies in that respect and have that support there, even though it's one person. So we want to build a conscious self-care community in that respect, how to support others out there, with their vision and their outcomes as well too. So even though this is a very personal journey, but it's also very, we want to extend it as well too, to
combined.
others within the community.
Yeah, yeah. No, this then what I'm thinking differently, like we have a family. Everyone have a family, office, and school, university. Everybody has, but like how conscious self care help family members related to their issues, because now a lot of people are like doing some thing bad and doing some suicide and like mental depression and anxiety, a lot of things are happening out there. So like in a short way, like how you will help family members related to their issues
Well,
using.
Once again,
Not
we've
just
been
self-care.
talking about the conscious care community, people who come training, who do our trainings, who can assist others as well too. You know, how to apply it to yourself and family. But once again, keep in mind that, you know, conscious self-care is a very personal journey. It's a very selfish journey, you know, in that respect. And I mean selfish in a very contextual way, where you for your own personal development. We've all been selfish in ways, you know. And I'm very selfish because I want to get the best out of myself so I can provide for others. So it's an attitude in that respect. You know, you talk about suicides, you talk about, you know, major depressive disorders in our community. Look, there's a lot of support out there in that respect. But but we want to add a different service, you know, where people can equip themselves more so quite quickly, but more so thoroughly, and in a very challenging way, so you can actually absorb and immerse yourself in the experiences. So this is an important element of this whole approach. It is equipping yourself, and through this, you connect with other family members as well. You learn how to support them. You know, you learn how to support them in a very safe environment. But the main point is how you learn to support yourself, to learn to
Yes.
support others. And this is
Support me
what
first. Yeah.
self-care is. How do you learn to support yourself first?
Okay.
Place yourself in a better position to, you know, to assist others. You know, we're
Yes.
not fixing others. We're not being a servant to others.
No.
Okay? We're not being servants. You know, being the other person. You get yourself in a lot of trouble. And that's another frame as well too. And that's, you know, perception, different positions as well too. You want to be a service to yourself first, so
Yeah.
you can be more accessible and have more to offer to others. So these skills are transferable across context. So this is where I sort of think selfishness is a person or people
Mhm.
approach in that respect.
Fantastic, Milan. Like we have now a lot of information, but I would say we'll cover more next week. Like we have another two session,
Another two sets.
11th of December, 18th of December, Friday, same time.
Yes.
And we have already covered, Milan has already covered like the structure of perception, the
Some,
conscious mind,
a little bit.
little bit. Conscious mind, neurology and language, neurophysiological frame, creating sustainable outcomes, creating space, inner space, outer space, a little bit somatic intelligence and utilize emotions for results and tapping into your intuitions and knowledge. So next week and week after we'll cover more and more and more, because we are here, we are from fast access to give the information to you all viewers. So I think we are very end in our session. So finally, Milan, you finally, can you tell very briefly like something for the our viewers, like what is your what you wanted to say to them in a nutshell?
In a nutshell,
Yeah.
there's been lots of nutshells. There's been a small nutshell here, a
Okay.
small nutshell there, a large nutshell.
All right.
And I'm going to leave you with these nutshells,
Okay.
okay? But what I will do, or what one can do also with these nutshells, I don't know how many nutshells are there. There's lots of nutshells. But to crack,
Yeah.
to splinter each one
Okay.
and open each one up
Okay.
and learn to discover in a different way.
Different. Okay.
Learn. My question for you is this. I'll leave you this.
Hmm.
Can you learn not to know?
Not to know.
Can you learn not to know? And I'll be interested in some of your responses next week.
Okay. That's a good question. Hello, viewer. Like we are end of this the session, so we'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Like thank you again to stay with us. and we'll see you.